today we have with us a bold woman who is a solopreneur, a free diving athlete, and the first Indian woman to went 40 meters deep on a single breath. That is so impressive. And her mantra is, I'm a human being, not a human doing, which I love, love, love. Welcome to the show, Smruti, and congratulations on that championship, first of all.
Thank you, San. Thank you for having me.
Well, first of all, I'm really curious about the championship and your competition because it happened like a week ago or a couple of weeks ago. So I want to start there, I think. Like, tell us about how did you get into the diving and how did you get to be the first Indian woman to go so deep on a single breath?
For sure, San. There have been, like a lot of ups and downs, like any journey in this one as well, where my journey started in 2022 by fluke, where freediving found me where I was just chilling and working from an island in India. 2024, and I kept learning. I kept learning for a few years. And 2023, somebody sowed the seeds into me saying, hey, you know what? There are no uh, proper records for Indian women in freediving. Why don't you do some of these? It's still very new. I was like, huh, I had no idea. Tell me more. And then 2024, it was for the first time that I hit the milestone, which was 40 meters in training. And it was after a lot of working on myself, especially my nervous system, because I think from years of people pleasing and saying yes when I wanted to say no, it was just fried. And 2025, recently, October 2025, as you rightly mentioned, was when, after a long due, after the seeds were sown in 2023 by some of my freediving friends, after 2+ years of overthinking, I finally took that leap and entered a proper competition where I did 39 meters, which was one of the national record dives. And it's so amazing to see, Sun, that there is this wave of beautiful, amazing women. Somebody is a lawyer turned freediving and freediving athlete. Somebody is an Air Force veteran turned freediving
Wow.
instructor and athlete, and now she holds a lot of Indian national records. And another person is she was a pilot turned freediving instructor, a cinematographer turned freediving instructor, whatnot. Oh my God. We have a dentist right here in Dubai, where I am right now, turned diving athlete, and she's into scuba diving
Wow.
as well. And amazing women from all walks of life, Sun, who were meant to be mermaids.
Wow. But there is so much to unpack here, right?
For sure.
Okay, let's start with this. Tell us a little bit about your story. Where are you from? What you used to do before this, and how you mentioned a little bit like free driving found you in 2023 through someone else, but how did you change and make it to your lifestyle now, right?
I grew up in now a very big city of India, Ahmedabad. My mom
Okay.
actually fought for us to be there, or I would have lived in a village in Gujarat, far away from the city where I currently my parents are based, and I would have been leading a very, very different life, son. My schooling
And it
happened
was
in
your mom. That is curious. That was your mom who did
she
that
was
for
a
you.
fight. She is a fighter, yeah.
Wow, I
Yeah.
love it.
And all my early childhood till I was I did my schooling, high schooling, everything in Ahmedabad. And this is when I was discovering my love for books and science. And I was a very, very curious kid. I was very socially awkward. So my only options and friends were books. I would be so prepared for almost all of my exams. I had a very, very strong preference for subjects like science and math, where things just made sense and there was no subjectivity, no creativity. There was right or wrong.
Mhm.
And that was my I would say life, of course, till 18 and then much later as well. Very logical, very analytical, and I would love solving even puzzles in my free time. I would pick up not just the Rubik's Cube, but the 4x4, 5x5, and to sort of keep messing around and playing around with it. When I went, this is when I was studying to get into one of the very, very competitive institutes, which is Indian Institute of Technology. You can imagine it as an MIT or
Mm.
Harvard of India. Very competitive, very difficult to get into. When I went there, I found this freedom and this social side of me found an expressive playground.
Like your
I
place, right? Like people
Yeah, yeah,
likewise.
exactly, exactly. And then that side of me started evolving, and I started making friends, some friends for life. And then again, in that journey, I discovered how I was always overgiving in people's business. If somebody is having a bad day or a bad mood, it I would take it as a personal mission to make sure that they are taken care of. And I gave so much of my energy into all of these things, and that was a lot of my identity. That
Wow.
took me into I wasn't relating a lot by this time to what I was studying, but I was very curious about why people do what they do, why I do what I do, my behavior, what I am feeling, and how people learn. So, a lot of that led me into working in the education space for almost 7 to 8 years, including social and emotional learning. It's gorgeous. I'd love to just share one incident from that time and that era of my life
Yes.
where I was in a small classroom in Ahmedabad and hosting a session on empathy as a part of the social emotional initiative that we had for that school. It was a cold winter morning, probably 7:30 in the morning. I was freezing cold. I did not even want to be there. I just wanted to be in my bed, tucked in my blanket. And we start the session, and I'm waiting for the kids, girls on this side of the room to come, sort of settle down, because I know they are very well behaved and they know that this is the time to listen to the facilitator and this is the time for discussions. So I'm waiting for them to settle down, and they pass me a mat because all of them
Okay.
are sitting on mats because it's cold and I'm sitting on the floor. And they
Wow.
pass me a mat, and I am close to tears because I was about to talk to them about empathy. And here they are. I was like, oh, girls, what am I going to teach you? You know?
Oh, yeah, you already know. That's a beautiful
And
story there.
so many of those moments woven into what I used to do in that era and that season of my life was to create more awareness to for the silent girl who felt alone, felt excluded, and felt like she did not belong.
Mm.
And I am that girl. So a lot of my mission was to be a voice for them and to create a slightly better environment for all of those kids and girls. That was what I did for about 78 years
Wow, that's
until
beautiful.
COVID happened and a bunch of things, and it sent me on a whirlwind of a journey, burnout, because there was only like like how much could I give, like without working on the very core of me. And that is when I just packed my bags and I was traveling for up till now, by the way, since 2021 up till now I'm still traveling, and I found my solace in the ocean. And I was on a one-way trip to the Indian Islands. That is where freediving found me. And since then, I have been on the move, living out of a suitcase, diving in and out of the ocean, and just learning more about who I am and what my mission is still.
Wow, that's a beautiful story. Thanks for sharing. And I would love to know a lot of different things that you've mentioned. But first of all, you said that you were this quiet girl in the school with your own things, your puzzles and your own curiosities, but the typical maybe not fitting in with everyone else, like not the cool crowd, right? We all know what is that. So I would love to know, is it like something you were always like that, like since you were kind of born? Or it was something that happened, maybe circumstances that you lived in your childhood that made you be more reserved and things like that? What would you say about?
Son, you come from a Pakistani origin family, so you might be able to relate uh, to this part. My family is a very conservative Hindu family where we did not have a lot of means when I was very little and when I was growing up. We were I remember very, very, very early on, even when I had just started going to school. I was a very shy, reserved kid. I think deep down I did not feel safe enough, even in my home, to express myself. There's a story that my parents keep repeating to me and to our family members, saying that it was my first few days and first few weeks in the school. And every day when I would come back from the school, they would ask me, "What did you learn? What did you do?" And I would just sing the song all day long, which went like this. That was it.
Okay.
I was labeled as the good girl. I was labeled as the obedient one, which is basically a convenient way for people to say, "Hey, your feelings and emotions are anyway too much for us. So, and we don't know how to deal with those. So, we probably don't even know that there is a world inside of you that exists, which is a very rich inner world." But yeah, and there was no way for them, even from the very, very early days, for them to access that inner world within me. And there were, I think, a lot of my childhood was me just being silent and numb. Very few
Wow.
memories I have where it was, for example, I remember we were in Goa and we were like, I was sitting like in a corner because people were shopping and I did not appreciate that. I did not fancy that. So I was sitting in a corner like a little child, 5 years old maybe, and I was just simply bored out of my mind. Now, a foreigner woman who's from outside of India, she noticed me sitting there and she came up to me with so much zest, saying, "My God, you look like a princess. Wow, what's your name? How are you doing? Where are you from?" And that interaction I remember so vividly. That made me feel alive as opposed to a life that I now remember as being very, very numb feeling where
Mm.
you're just passive. You're just half asleep, half dead, just listening to other people, just saying what they are doing, just what they are saying and what they expect you to do. One last thing I'd love to add here, Sun, is sports. Sports. This week has been sensational because India lifted the World Cup for women's cricket. It has been such a sensation because it brought back all of those times where
I just got chills.
yeah, all those times where as a small kid I was, sort of living like a sedentary life, and my brother, like his energy was so much, probably mine too, I'm sure, but his energy was so much that he would keep pacing and running up and down the house, or he would be, I don't know, like throwing stones or playing cricket or playing football or playing tennis and skating and all of those things. I had access to some of them, swimming, dancing, etc., like the more slightly feminine things maybe,
Yeah.
but I never had that access to or connection to, expressing even with physical movement. And I was, if you can imagine, that passive, sedentary, numb, half alive kid. That is what I would imagine my childhood as.
Well, first of all, congratulations on the World Cup. That is amazing. And especially, I completely understand what that means for women in our countries, right? It is not just a World Cup. Cricket is a big thing in Pakistan and in India. I grew up, my dad was a cricket team player and I grew up seeing that on the streets and it was a big thing, but women were never in that field, like ever. Women were doing other things because they are not available, they are not allowed to play on the streets and things like that, right? So it is a huge, huge, huge step for us as women in those countries, especially because now we live in Europe. Well, now I live in Europe, and of course, our rights here are much bigger than the one in Pakistan, right? Or India. So achieving these things, it makes me literally cry of happiness and proud because Like, oh my God, I saw that growing up that we were not allowed to do any of those things. And now seeing women achieving these big things, there's like
Oh
such
God.
and for like
Yeah.
generations to come, like for the future, like a little girl who is sitting in her house and watching that, now she can relate and see, okay, if she can do it, I can do it. Because we didn't have, I don't know what about you, but I didn't have any women who were like role models, not on TV, maybe in some areas like actresses, singers, dancers, yes.
Mm.
But in Pakistan, that is mainly like a Muslim country. Dancing and singing was not like a profession that that you aspire to. That's why I became a dancer. I think I was rebellious. I was like, yeah, you don't want me to be, I'm gonna be a dancer.
Yeah.
But that's another story for another day. But we didn't have like, I don't know, businesswoman that we can look up to, or we didn't have like a sport woman that we can look up to. And now having all those things for those little girls, for
So
me,
true.
this is like a big, big, big step for womanhood. And I'm so happy and so proud of all these women doing amazing things. I'm proud of you doing all these amazing,
Thank
amazing
you.
things and getting this championship and being the first Indian woman to achieve it. It's like, oh my God, this is so beautiful and so powerful for every other woman, because
I
women have this thing that we inspire each other so much.
So true. And so many things, by the way, were going on in my mind when you were sharing this. But it's what happened even after they won, right, in this match. And there are videos going around of all the women from Indian cricket team, South African cricket team coming together, hugging each other, the support, the empathy, the respect that they showed to the retired Indian female cricketers. And it was one of them, one of the team members, she got injured and she was in a wheelchair. So the people who have been excluded all their life, right? And who have been told, oh, you cannot play cricket because you're a girl. Or one of the girls who had to dress up like a boy and she played in an academy acting like she's a boy for
Is that for real?
years. Yeah, for real. One of the Indian
That's like
cricket.
the movie. There is a
Exactly,
movie.
exactly. Yes,
Oh my God. I cannot believe this.
exactly. All of these people, women who have been excluded, who have been uh, told or trolled. One of them, Jemima, she was trolled because she's a Christian. And like based on their gender, based on their faith, based on so many different things. And when they had that, they lifted the trophy, they had that voice, that power, that agency. They used that to do so much good, to inspire so many of us. Even right now, like this wave of, so the wheelchair player, by the way, like one of the vice captain, she brought her out to celebrate with everybody, of course, right?
Yeah.
That is what we mean when we say that this is what happens when women are in power. They get the agency and they include everybody. They're so kind to everybody. And oh my God, I'm just tearing up even thinking of all those insane celebrations.
That is beautiful. I think that is just a great, great achievement for them and for every woman who is anywhere in the world, to be honest. So I would like to know how diving helped you to become this person, or not become, because I don't am someone who thinks that we don't become, we already have those things inside of us. They were just probably forgotten or hidden so deep. And maybe with something like diving or dancing or starting a business, they can come up and they can, now we can embrace them as like, oh my God, this is me now. This is, but I think that has always been in you. You just needed to find it somehow. And in your case, it has been, if I'm not wrong, through diving, through deep diving, right? So I would love to know how diving has helped you in your own path as a woman, as a person, and also in your business.
And you very beautifully said it, right? That it's all within us. It's just about peeling off these layers of conditioning and limiting beliefs that are surrounding us. Diving, I'll share my journey of this past year. Before this, it was a lot of just lack of belief because everything that I did in my life, I was always chasing perfection. For example, if I'm putting together, let's say, a webinar like this, for instance, I would go crazy. I would drive myself crazy, thinking of every little detail to a painful level. And not even in a healthy way, not even in a healthy way that it is good quality. But I would be driving myself crazy and the output would be very little. And the result would be that that webinar will never go out, right?
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to diving, imagine every day that you're showing up, that I'm showing up to dive. I am exactly aware of that level of detailing or perfectionism I'm carrying on that day. For instance, in freediving, we carry minimal equipment, but it's still quite a bit, where we have our wetsuit to keep us warm, we have our mask, snorkel, weight belt, fins, of course. And I would find myself fidgeting with my equipment on days where I feel that I have to be perfect, that this dive session has to be perfect, the dive has to feel a certain way, aka perfect. And that and a lot of other things related to my social anxiety, my fear of how I think people are perceiving me, all of that. It actually became very, very difficult for me to hold on to all of these things when I'm in a vulnerable position in diving, right? Where you are literally going against something which is like a survival, where you're
And
holding
something
your
it's
breath.
huge. It's like you
Yeah,
cannot
yeah,
control that environment, right?
exactly. So slowly but surely, I started to have those vulnerable moments where all of this was coming down, where I started to recognize that this perfectionism, it's not my identity. It is just a layer that has been, and I just started seeing it for what it is, a trauma response.
Tell me
My
more.
core
Tell me more.
My core is playful. My core is perseverant. My core is just so much more that than this perfectionistic facade that I have on the outside, right? And little by little, I started to tap into those things where if let's say I am diving to, for example, 30 meters and practicing on that day, for example, and I would be diving, I would be feeling whatever. Let's say I'm not feeling that great, and I abort the dive at, say, let 25 meters and I come back up. Now, imagine my buddy, like we always dive together with somebody, not never alone. So my buddy would tell me, "Hey, what happened?" And he would be mocking me, for example. Ha ha ha! Like what's happening? And even through the snorkel and mask, you can sense that mockery. And you'd say, "No, I just wasn't feeling it." And you deal with that,
Yeah.
and you laugh it off. You play. You tap into that playfulness. Or even when you are having a beautiful dive, even during the championship in the competition last month in October 2025, when we were surrounded by so many people. There were literally 20 plus people on the platform, in the water, safetying us, taking care of us, taking pictures and videos of us, all the athletes. And in that moment as well, I would tap into that playful energy, and I would
Wow.
tap into that hey, it's just play. It's just a game for adults, right?
Yeah.
Where they are going up and down a rope, holding their breath. So tapping into these things and diving was a beautiful medium for me to play around with all of these things and so much more.
Wow. I think that is great. Like being so conscious, like yourself, of the process you have been through. I think it's beautiful. And also, something that I feel that is very important is when we detach ourselves from the results. So Like right now, I'm in that process because for 5 years since I started my business, I was in this mode of next goal, achieved it, next goal, achieved it. And like, like the human doing part of, as you said in your mantra. And just last week, I did this course about breath work. And I think it connected me with part of my childhood and my traumas and my beliefs that now are like they are now shown to me somehow. So I remembered that this is more about to having fun. This is more about, of course, I'm an ambitious person and I'm a perseverance person, like you said, you are too. And I like the challenges and to grow and build meaningful things. But that does not mean that we cannot enjoy and have fun today on what we are doing right now, right? So I think that is something that you say beautifully. Like when you just are able to say, you know what? Yeah, today I'm not feeling it going all the way down. And that's perfectly okay. And I'm going to have fun anyway. I think that is just amazing because as businesswomen, as entrepreneurs, for me, it has been a real challenge to detach myself from the results that I am still working on. And I've still got moments that I'm like, okay, I need this to work and to make the sales or close this deal or whatever. And I take it to my self-worth still sometimes. Like if I don't close a deal, it's because I'm not good enough. And like my value as a person, as a woman, right? So I think that is so a beautiful reminder for myself first and for everyone who's listening to us that even being aware of that, like you can still enjoy the process. You can still
Mm,
enjoy everything you are doing because
mm,
then you are sending this message to the universe that you are happy already. You don't need anything else. You are just so happy and enjoying it, what you have. And then of course, with that energy, you can still build different things, more things, or whatever you want, right? So I think that is a beautiful journey that you shared with us. So now I'm curious about because I'm not sure what do you do? Like, how do you help people now? Do you help them with the diving? So you are a diving coach, or you help them diving in life as well? I think you don't. So tell us a little bit more about what do you do and how you help people right now.
absolutely, son. The ideal person who I would want to help is where I was, say, 4 years ago. 4 years
You were in
ago, I
corporate
was
job?
sort of. My last
Okay.
job was as a leadership person, as an AVP in a company where the mission was really beautiful, the team was really beautiful, but it was just not my place. It was
How
just
did you
not,
know that? For someone
you
like
just
I can imagine someone who's listening to us and they have this feeling. So how do you know that that is not your place? What is
okay.
for you?
As women, son, you might have heard that women, we have a very strong sense of intuition. That's how it is. Back then, I did not know how to pinpoint these things, or I did not know what was happening. But it is when you are feeling that your boxing bag might crash because you're hitting it so hard in the gym, is how you know.
That's how I love that.
That's how you that you're filled with so much frustration or so much resentment because sometimes there isn't even the culture is amiss, or how do you, it's not even worth fighting because it is not just one thing, it is
Mhm.
just so much, it is everything, right? That you feel helpless in front of that. What I am talking about is that when in my past jobs, or let's say the system, right? The system, how it is designed in the corporate world, it is for people to not think, it is for people to not grow so much, and it is for them to stay dependent on that corporate salary for their entire lives. And it is practically that we are working to make somebody else rich, and we are begging them to give a seat for us at their table. And there are
Mm,
so many people behind us lining up to take that seat. I would like to acknowledge that, yes, there are so many people out there who live with limited means, but we do live in a world where that is just not an excuse anymore. Whatever you want to do, there is a path. There are so many things with very limited cost to entry, barriers to entry, that you can be doing right now, right? So
completely
most of the
agree. Yes.
excuses are just excuses. Now, the woman that I would like to support is that woman who is stuck in that mindset that I need to hold this all together by and say she's in a job, for example, she's giving so many extra hours, or she's in a relationship where she is over giving so much and she's picking up after everybody, mothering everybody around her. But when somebody gives her a compliment, she, no, no, that, never
That's
mind that.
nothing.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, this thing, I just picked it up off the floor,
Yeah.
right?
We
It's
do that
that
all the
woman.
time.
She will work through her period cramps. She will be having 103 fever, but if she has a presentation deck to finish, she will probably prioritize her presentation deck. That is the woman that I was. And that is the woman who is so detached from herself, her body, her needs, because remember that little girl that we talked about? She is
Yeah.
so sort of numb, sedentary. She has no idea what she's feeling. And that girl turns into somebody who needs to be included, who needs to belong. And she really wants to play volleyball. So she will keep at it, like till the time that she gets into the team, or she just needs to be included. She just wants to be on the team. But what she does not realize is that she has so much power, so much power, so much worth, that is not defined and not dependent on anything outside of her. Let
Wow.
me bring it all together with this one analogy, son. Imagine you walk into a room of 100 people. It's lunchtime. You pick up your tray. You take and choose from a buffet of lunch items, and you have your tray full of like your favorite food, and then you look around at the room. Nobody looks up. Nobody invites you to sit at their table. And imagine that you don't know anybody here. Okay. How does it make you feel?
Wow. Completely alone in a room
Yes.
full of people. Like I'm
Alone,
excluded and not welcome
not
and
welcome,
sad in a way. Yes.
sad,
Like
excluded.
worthless, right? Like no one even wants to sit by
Yeah.
with me for lunch. Yeah, of course.
Now, and okay, this is exaggerated for dramatic effect. Now, if I were to tell you this is a room full of serial killers, how would you feel now?
I'm grateful. I don't want to sit with them. I
So,
prefer to eat my lunch in the bathroom, probably.
exactly. So now we never stop to think that, do I even want to sit at their table? And no offense to serial killers, but and okay, and as you can imagine, that we never stop to examine. Somebody says something, we take it to heart. Please give me your criticism. I will place it on my heart, and I
And
will
make
try
it
to
real. I like
right.
make it real for us. It's
Yes,
like, wait a
yes,
minute.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. But
I love
here's
that analogy, by
yeah,
the way. That's so clear to see. It's like,
yeah,
yeah, why I'm caring about all these people not inviting me when I'm not even part of them or I don't want to be part of these
yeah.
people, this group.
And
Yeah.
Brené Brown says
I
it
love
so
Brennan.
beautifully. We love her, and I think she saved so many of our lives. I'm sure. She says that if you're not in the arena, also
You're
getting your
not.
ass kicked, I don't want your opinion. And if
Totally.
they are shouting, criticizing from the cheap seats, you can just allow that to fall at your feet and not Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Totally. I totally agree. And I thank you for that analogy and explaining it so clearly and beautifully, because so many times in life, in a corporate job or even as a business person, we feel that we want to be a part of a group or a place that we belong to, but we maybe don't examine ourselves first. We don't ask ourselves first, like, wait a minute, do I really want to be there? Or is it just because socially it is better for being part of that group? And I see that a lot among some of my friends that
Hmm.
because of the social norms that we have to have certain type of job, to have kids when you're a certain age, etc. So it made me really sad, to be honest, when I heard someone saying, yeah, I mean, I have to do this, or I do this because that is
Hmm.
what expected. But why would what would people think if I don't do this? And it's like, wait a minute, it's not about the people, it's about you. It's like your life. Have you ever think about what do you really want, or if this is something you want to do? For me, this was made really clear because I was this person. I had my corporate job. I finished my studies at the university. I went to the UK for my masters and being a teacher, and then I get this job which was really good job for a 22-year-old, like good money, good company, every, like the dream life.
Hmm.
Dream life. Other people dream life, not my dream life. And I remember, I think I've never shared this, but the other day I remembered this because now I'm doing all this work of like digging really deep into my soul. And I remembered this that I kind of forgot. And I remember my friend and I was doing the same masters, and we had this employment fair in our university. So a lot of different companies would come to the university, and you will hand out your CV to the different companies so they can maybe call you for an interview. So my friend and I, we both got picked by the same company, and we had these interviews. We had like 3 interviews. The process was kind of long. And I remember one day in the gym with this friend, and she was like so excited about, like, wow, I hope we get this job because, this is the dream. It's an amazing job. We will be executives, like corporate woman, whatever. And I remember feeling deep inside, like, I hope I don't get this job. But
Hmm.
I didn't say it loudly because it was like, are you crazy? Like, this is the dream. This is what you
Hmm.
expected to after you finish your master degree, to get a
Hmm.
good job and, to retire in that job, hopefully. But deep down that day, I remember feeling like, I hope I don't get it, to be honest. And I saw my friend and she got the job. We both got the job actually, but life had other
Hmm.
plans for me. My mother got sick a year later,
Hmm.
and then I had to
Oh, I'm
leave the
sorry.
UK and come back to Spain, and that made me quit the job because, of course, my mother was much more important than any job in the world, right? And then my different journey started. But the loss of my mother was that thing that made me question again that as a human being, we don't know how much time we've got left in this world. We think that we have, yeah, I'll live till getting old and then I'll die as an old lady. You don't know that. You might die tomorrow. You might die next year. You might die this evening. You don't know. Honestly, I hope it doesn't happen, but it can happen. So that question was something that keeps coming to my mind, that really you want to live this life if you're gonna die in a year? Because my mother was completely fine, healthy person, 48 years old. She was really young, and she died in a year. She had this cancer and we lost her. She didn't expect it. No one expected that.
Sorry
So
to hear
that
that.
was, yeah, thanks. But that, now I'm in peace with her death. I had to do a lot of work with my therapist and all that because I was feeling really frustrated about it. But now I find that her loss was the message I need to receive really deeply, that shook me so hard and made me make the decision of, I want to create my own life. I'm not going to live a life that the social expectation are telling me, because that is what they want for themselves maybe, but that is not what I want. So that's why I changed everything, and I went for dancing and Pilates instructor and fitness instructor. I was like, I'm going to do everything I love and see where is my place. And that's how I started. But I totally agree that sometimes even we are hearing this voice, because I heard that voice when I was 22, but I didn't make the decision and went for it till I was 27. But that voice was there all the time. And as you said previously, that women have this intuition always, we know that deep down. So if we are connected to ourselves enough, and we allow ourselves with these pauses and taking time and really connecting, see, what do I want to do? Do I feel this is the right move? And you might not get the answer right away, but if you give yourself some time, I'm sure that you have the wisdom inside of you to make the right decisions. Even you have to be brave. That's a different thing, right? Because sometimes but you are just afraid of taking the actions to change things in your life, especially, I don't know in your case, and I would love to tell me that, but for me, my family was really
Yeah.
supportive. And when I
Yeah.
told my dad, I'm going to leave the job and I'm going to dance and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, he was like, yeah, go for it. I'm here to support you. He was like cheering me up all the time. And my sister, same. But I know that that is not the case for every people, every person, every woman. They've got
Mhm.
families that are like, what? No way you're doing that. And not at least if you're living, in this house and things like that. So I would love to know
Yeah.
how was that for you, like when you did the change?
It was a mixed bag, son, again, that they supported me to the best of their abilities. But there would be these backhanded comments and saying, oh, what are you going to do this time? Like, what new thing are you going to be doing this time?
Again, you're changing.
This again. Huh. Okay. Where have I seen this story before? Sometimes there would be these backhanded comments, and it would also be on the lines of saying, okay, so what's the real plan? Right? What's the real plan? Like diving in all out, that's okay, but what's the real plan? What's the
Yeah.
real life
That's not
going to be?
real, right? That is like, no, that's some hobby thing. That's not real. You can't, yeah. And I think because you did it, everything being in India, I think that is so much brave for me, because I had the chance that we moved very young to Spain. So in
Yeah.
Europe is kind of different for women, thankfully. So, but I remember that my dad, and sometimes me too, when I started to post things about my dancing, because I was dancing in an international company and we were like traveling around the world and doing shows. That was like a dream life. And I was
Hmm.
putting all those things on my social media, like my Instagram, my Facebook. And I remember that I received some messages of my family members from Pakistan saying, like, you should not be doing this as a woman. This is not allowed in our culture. This is very shameful. And people sending messages to my dad that
Yeah,
how
yeah, yeah.
is he allowing me to do that? And he was like, my dad was always like, that's her life and that's my relationship with her. So you just shut the fuck up. You don't have to say
Yeah,
anything about it.
yeah.
So I feel supported, but you being there, I can imagine how difficult is that, right?
It is, son. See, even for dancing, for example, right? Uh, the, I'm thinking of this video of a college girl went viral, and it's so amazing the dance that she's doing. It's sort of like a freestyle hip hop dance, and everybody's like sort of like a street dance competition, and it went viral, and people thrashed her, right? Like they trolled her, thrashed her, and broke her spirit. Now, something like dance diving is, as a human, it is how we express, how our bodies, like how we express things, right? And personally, and this is again what I would tell my 2021 year, or like 2021, like the version that I was in that year, I would tell her these things, that only remember what are the rules of nature. versus the rules of society.
Wow.
200 years ago and 200 years from now, like we as humans will say, oh, diamonds are forever and we'll market diamonds. And 200 years from now, people won't even care. Like the Gen Z has taken over the world, and like now people don't even know about diamonds. They don't even care about diamonds, let's say. So that's a social construct. But love, like say if AI hasn't taken over in 200 years completely, humans are still humans, then I am pretty sure that love is something that is a is inbuilt within us, right? Even say wearing clothes. Who knows? We will, I don't know,
We
like
didn't used to wear them, so this
exactly.
is like
So
a
this
new thing.
is a temporary thing, right? But how we express, how we dance, how we move, how we connect to nature, to water, to ocean, all of that is forever. So I'm not sure about if the diamond is forever or not, but the laws of nature, the laws of like how human body, a human being feels and functions, these things are forever. So drawing that distinction, like that brought so much peace into my life. And that is what I would tell that 4-year previous version of me to
Yeah.
think in those contexts.
I think that's beautiful. And I totally agree. I never saw it this way, like making the distinction about the natural laws and the social laws that we are living in. And again, I would say that I understand that it takes courage and it takes an act of faith and bravery when you are taking or making a different decision that the one which is expected from you, right? Like instead of being, and again, in Pakistan and in India, the professions, the real professions are being an engineer, a doctor, a pilot. That is what everyone expects from you, right? Those are the serious professions. Dancer, artist, entrepreneur, those are like, yeah, when you get tired, you'll go back to the real thing, right? But I don't know how is things for you in India. I'm guessing it's the same, but now I'm seeing the younger generations in my family, like the daughters of my cousins that are a little bit, my cousins that are older than me and their daughters. I'm kind of in the middle, right? So their daughters now are doing things that their mothers and myself as well were not allowed to.
Mm-hmm.
Like they are getting their degrees in the university. They were not allowed to. They are getting jobs. We were not allowed to get jobs. We were allowed to
Mm-hmm.
just finish high school and then get married and then be a
Yeah.
housewife. And they're being, and I am so happy because I see one of them is actually, I think two of them are being artists and they're traveling now to Dubai. One of them, I think, is traveling to Dubai because there is a big thing about artists, about art, and she's being part of it. And I'm like, I'm so happy that they have all these. It should not be a permission because it is something so natural that we are born with, right? Like if you want to do something and it is your passion and you're not hurting anyone, you should not be forbidden about that, right? So are
Very
you
true.
like, what do you see in the Indian for the, do you work with Indian women or you work with
Yes.
different nationalities?
Yes, I do work with Indian women. And this is so true, son, in my journey as well. As I mentioned, that up until I was maybe up until very recently, almost late 20s, early 30s, I never saw myself as a creative person, which is a huge loss in that sense that everybody is creative. And we need creativity. And it's not, when I say creativity, oh God, people think of, just, oh, like art and painting and everything. No, it is in, say, creativity in what I say, how I cook, how I dive,
How you dress, how you, yeah, anything.
everything. Right? So, creativity, again, it is one of the core, like your core, at your core, everybody, each one of us is creative. And everything that you mentioned, okay, it is food for the soul. I was literally thinking of so many concerts that I've been to where I would be blown away. I would be in tears. or I would feel just so much positivity, so much awe and inspiration. Like, say, if I'm watching a Bharatanatyam dancer, an Indian classical dancer who is 87 years old, or
Wow.
yeah, or if I'm watching a sitar player, a mridang player who has be learned from like a generations, and his family has been practicing this art for generations. Or this is the gold, this is the diamond.
Okay.
What I feel is the challenge is there is only reward when you cross the finish line, or when somebody crosses a certain level of accomplishment in their creative arts. Say, if you're a dancer, right, there might not be, and I'm talking about the Indian context, there might not be many options for you to, in the stepping stones. Very few people who are very, very adamant and who go all the way. They might see the light at the end of the tunnel, and they might receive a remuneration or to make it as a way of living as well. But this is the food for the soul. From a personal level, if I talk to you, son, it is just so beautiful it is liberation and freedom at its core,
Hmm.
where you can just feel your body and dance to the tunes of your favorite, say, Bollywood song, or where you can sing at the top of your, like at the top of your volume, where I remember telling this to my clients as well. Two of them, like separately, I was working with them. Both of them were into painting. One of them was a doctor, one of them was into software, and both of them were taking up this hobby as if it is like yet another project that they have to be
Hmm.
good at. Right. So one of
Oh.
them, she had like such a huge painting, like which was so intricate, and she had been working on it for ages. Another one of them, like she said, "Oh yeah, I could take this up in my free time." And then I saw her sink into her seat saying, "Oh, but I won't be good at it." It's that when we liberate ourselves, say if you don't want to pursue it as a career or something, then we should allow ourselves the freedom to just enjoy the thing for the sake of the thing and simply enjoy. Yeah,
Wow.
that's the
Now that
core.
you've mentioned freedom, I would love
Mhm.
to know, what does freedom mean to you today that you've been through all this process for yourself?
Up until a few months ago, son used to think of freedom as the freedom to wind in my hair, that I'm not answerable to anyone and I don't have to think twice before doing what I want to do. Now it is evolving into a much more beautiful meaning of freedom. Freedom, I feel, is where we can accept everything that we are and still allow ourselves to connect with somebody, where of course we don't, that, as you said, that everything is within us, right? So the core, we want to keep going to our core, which is courageous, which is calm, which is compassionate, and so many other things which are full of beauty. And freedom for me is that you recognize that it's not independence, because let's face it, like we are interconnected. We are not independent. We are interconnected, and finding that beauty and that dance in that interconnectedness, that is what freedom is to me, where I see
Wow.
me and I see you, and let's connect. And that, I think, is freedom for me. Now, ask me again in
That
a
is
few months.
to allow ourselves to evolve and change our definitions and what we think.
For
That is
sure.
our nature as a human being, right? We evolve continuously. It would be weird to not to do it. I was talking to a friend this weekend about a topic that she has changed her opinion. She had a very strong opinion a few years ago, and now her opinion is completely different. And she was sharing with me, and I was like, I'm so happy for you that you're able to change your mind and see now things differently, because that is part of our human nature. So I'll ask you in a few months, maybe we can do a part two of this interview and see what freedom is for
Oh,
you
sure.
then. Everyone who is listening to us, I would love for you to share anything that you've learned, maybe some tips or some things that we can start to do to be more joyful, that we spoke at the beginning, right? Like, even though if we are, doesn't matter if we are in a job, in a corporate job, or maybe in our businesses or whatever, what can we start doing today to make it more joyful and change our perception, our energy, and impact our happiness? So, can you share a few tips or steps that we can use from today?
Absolutely. Three things. One, be a little selfish. And what I mean by that is, do not take on responsibility for things and people who are not your responsibility. Yes, being a good mother, daughter, sister, friend, girlfriend, wife, everything is amazing, not at the cost of being who you are. So take responsibility and give your energy first to your goals, your dreams, and the right people will respond in a beautiful way to that. Second, I'd say keep the promises that you keep to that you make to yourself. Keep your promises to yourself. Just a week ago, around the time when India also picked up the World Cup, I restarted morning daily routine and 30 minutes of movement. The intensity I could decide and I would do as per my energy levels and my monthly cycle. That's a promise that I will keep to myself. 3 years ago, I would promise you I would not have kept that promise to myself.
Really?
But now I know that I'm a person who keeps my promises to myself.
And
Respect
maybe you can
yourself.
with small things, because
Yeah, of course. Like
if
I'm an athlete. 30 minutes is
yeah,
like minimum for me to call
yeah,
myself an athlete, right? And then
exactly.
when
For
there are
someone
seasons,
who, like
yeah,
for
for
someone who is
you it could be
not
3 minutes.
into
Yeah, yeah,
sport or anything,
yeah. It depends on
maybe,
you.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe doing a
What
promise of like,
promises?
I'm gonna start training 1 hour and a half
No,
every single day. It's like,
no,
no,
no.
don't
I am
don't
an
do that,
athlete,
because
and this is like the bare minimum for me. So
yeah.
you decide like what is it like, which is a realistic promise that you can make to yourself and keep your promises to yourself. And third, don't forget to play.
uh,
We don't need to take life so seriously. It wasn't meant to be taken so seriously. We can play, laugh. Please go make a fool out of yourself. If we are not doing that enough, we are not living. Yeah. And we are in the prison of what we think others will think about us. And we are presenting them a perfect facade of who I think they should see. No, no, no. Life is too short for that. So yeah, let's play. Have fun.
Oh, Smruti, I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for everything you shared, to be so open about your story, your journey, your
Thank you.
deep work that you've done, and sharing it with me and with everyone who's listening here. So I appreciate that. I appreciate your energy, your time. You have a beautiful energy. I loved it. And I think this was the most personal interview I've done until now. So I'm really, really happy about it.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure everyone who is listening will relate to some part of your story or whatever you have shared with us, I'm sure. And I hope that it helps a lot of women, men, anyone who's listening, they help them, they inspire them, they give them that maybe courage of to do something different if that's what they're feeling, to listen to their inner wisdom and their voice, and to be more joyful, as you say. So I think that was the perfect way of ending this interview. I so appreciate it. And I hope to see you soon, to speak to you soon. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're a beautiful host. Thank you for this.
Thanks.